look around, leaves are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground. Ah, seasons change with the scenery, weaving time in a tapestry. Won't you stop and remember me? Time, 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 see what's become of me. As I look around at my possibilities, I was so hard to please. Round, leaves are brown. Time, time, time. That is a good song. That is a good song. Aesthetics. Aesthetics, aesthetics. I think it could be either way. Aesthetics, aesthetics. Aesthetics. What is art? Branches of philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, politics, aesthetics. The art. Aesthetics is art. What is art? What is an artist? That's what we're going to talk about today. Taking it back to the foundational principles of practical philosophy and discuss art. With logic and philosophy and systems and goals and values and winners and capitalism, we're going to talk about art. These things are different. One of these things doesn't go with the other one. One of these things just isn't the same. Art and logic and reason and codes and ethics and values and creativity and passion and art and soul and with technology. Yeah, it all is part of a philosophical system that is integrated. And now let's talk about aesthetics. Aesthetics. Art. How you do it and why you do it. The expression of the first four things, expressed as how you do it. Hey, see, here's how I did it. I sculpted this, I painted this, I wrote this song, I created this content. How you do a thing. And why you do it that way. Is your aesthetic. Let's personalize it. Let's make it very concrete. Because it is an abstraction. If you walked up to people on the street, to your friends, and use it in conversation and go, well, it's part of his aesthetics, or her aesthetics, or their aesthetics, or aesthetics. You go, I appreciate these aesthetics. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I did not until I started my integrated studying of philosophy and creating a system for myself with from others. Is a piece of art. I mean, objectively, what is it? It's a painting. Okay. It's a painting of. What is it a painting of? Well, the artist painted it. So the artist took everything that was in here and in everywhere. The artist took that and reduced it and conceptualized it and took all of that data that was in this and in this and reduced it down to a snapshot on a wall that you can view. And so what do you get from it? Well, what was the artist's intent with it? The artist's intent, let's define. Art equals the artist's subjective representation of objective reality based on their value judgments and experiences. Art is an artist's subjective representation of the metaphysical universe as a result of their value judgments. Of all this metaphysical reality, you perceive it, you process it, and you express outwardly through your aesthetics as an artist what you're going to present, create. You're creating it. It didn't exist until you put it in the universe. So you put it there. Well, if you just made a copy of the universe and then put it out there, then it would be just more of the same. You wouldn't have created anything. You would have copied something. But when you take your experience and you chunk it through here and you spit it back out in the form of a novel, a blog post, a movie, a photo that you take, a photo that you paint, something that you draw, however you choose, it's a selective representation of reality based on what you feel is important enough to put on there for whatever your reasons are. It's your subjective representation of all this. Again, it's not a copy. It's you've boiled it down to some things and said, I'm going to paint that on this. And that's how I see it. It's how I see the world. So art is the artist's subjective. We all see it the way we see it. We're going to talk more about that. The artist's subjective view of the world based on their value judgments. We talked a lot about value. Value judgments being, what do you value? And are you achieving value or being frustrated by not achieving a value? Are you in enjoyment or in suffering with this world? And if you are suffering with this world, your art reflects your subjective view of the world based on your your metaphysics, based upon your value judgments and your, thus far, the context, the content of your knowledge up to this point and the context that you have it in. And your judgments about it, is it good or bad? And that's reflected in your art, right? Art is the technology of the soul. Objectivist philosophy. What is technology? Technology is the application of science to practical matters to create abundance for civilization. I will repeat. What is technology? Technology is the practical application of science to be engineered and used by mankind to advance civilization and create abundance for all humanity for the rest of human history. That's what technology is. Everything we use today is a piece of technology that has bettered our lives. The spoon was technology at one point. There is no spoon. There is no spoon. There is no spoon. There is no spoon. Art is the technology of the soul. So if technology makes our lives better, because it's an application of science to create abundance, then how does technology relate to the soul? What would the soul's technology be? If the soul had a technology, what would it be? It would be art. The ability to concretize this wide abstraction, which is existence, and to concretize it into an objective thing to be shared with others, to create connection between humans, between entities, between souls. Art is the technology of the soul. Art is what gives the soul distribution and leverage to connect with other souls. If it's in here and it never makes it out there, it never becomes an existent. Then the soul has nowhere to go. The technology of art says, let me take what's in here and let me abstract from it essential things that I can communicate conceptually through this objective thing that didn't exist before I painted it, drew it, sang it, videoed it. All of art, everything that how you express you is the technology of the soul. And now we got distribution, baby. We got distribution. We got distribution. We got distribution. Metaphysical technology. on smartphones, on Wi-Fi's, on networks, on blockchains, on distributed ledgers, all of it. We now have the distribution to take advantage of the connectivity and the network effects of creativity squared, with leverage being the rest of human history. Gotta create art. Gotta create art. I think art has too narrow of a definition of what we say art. When I say we need more artists, what does that mean? Oh, we need to have more people painting pictures. Art is a wide abstraction, as we've just discussed it. I'm making a repair video about how to do something with a vehicle. And so I create a video that I publish 3 minutes long or whatever. This is a concrete 3-minute video on how to do this thing, how to change the tire. And it is essential. It's got everything. It's clear. It's descriptive. I watch it and I accomplish my goal. Boom. 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 It's taking what you've learned, crunching it down to this much time, and then giving that to others, and then receiving value in return for it. You'll pay it what it's worth. What is it worth to you? You'll pay it. Traders trade value for value. And that'll be the next discussion. A hazy shade of winter. We'll talk about a hazy shade of winter. It's a hazy shade of winter. What are the lyrics to that song? So if art is the artist's subjective representation of reality based on their value judgments, how you see the world. Well, how did Simon and Garfunkel see the world at that time when they wrote this song? Let's talk about the art. Let's get concrete. Let's get concrete on art. Time, see what's become of me. While I looked around for my possibilities, I was so hard to please. Time, thinking about time. You're thinking about it. What do you think about it? See what's become of me. That doesn't sound like they're happy, right? Time. See what's become of me. While I looked around for my possibilities, I was so hard to please. Look around, the leaves are brown. The sky is a hazy shade of winter. This is not a happy person represented in this art, right? They're looking around at metaphysical reality, the passage of time, wondering what has become of them as a result of a calculation versus a standard and a value judgment whether they've achieved that standard or not achieved that standard. Their feeling about it, it's their art, not mine. What's become of me? What's become of me? That's a calculation. That's a what has become of me? Well, here's where I am. Here's where I wanted to be. Not doing it. Despair. What's become of me? While I looked around for my possibilities, I was so hard to please. Nothing was good enough. Look around, the leaves are now brown, and the sky is a hazy shade of winter. A hazy shade of winter is not joyful. Hear the Salvation Army band. The band, Salvation Army, playing to collect alms, to get tokens along a roadway. Down by the riverside, bound to be a better ride than what you've got planned. Carry your gun in your hand. Look around, the leaves are brown, and it's a hazy shade of winter. It's dark and it's upsetting. And you're carrying a gun in your hand and walking around the riverside, and there's a band playing for alms, and it's hazy, and winter is coming. And your life has passed you by, and you were hard to please, and what has become of you? The darkness. And then if you know the song, it comes in. Comes in positive. It comes in positives. Seasons change with the scenery, weaving time in a tapestry. Hang on. Hang on to your hopes, my friend. That's an easy thing to say. But if your hope should pass away, simply pretend that you can build them again. Hang on to your hopes, my friend. That's an easy thing to say. But if your hopes should pass away, simply pretend that you can build them again. Simply pretend. Negative. This is not the first time my hopes have been dashed. More losing, more hopelessness, more rejection, more not achieving value, more suffering, more the result of effects that are no causes, that you lost track of what the causes are. You're just losing all the time, and you're just desperate, and you're suffering. Simply pretend that you can build them again. Philosophy. Simply pretend that you can build them. Simply pretend that you can build them again. The reality that you can build them again is not real, so pretend it is. Verse is, you can build them again. Build them again. Just different philosophy. Look around, grass is high, fields are ripe, it's the springtime of my life. Seasons change with the scenery, weaving time in a tapestry, won't you stop and remember me? So it gets positive. It gets, look around. The grass is high, the fields are ripe. It is the springtime of my life. If that's your worldview, change. The only constant is change. It's not Lao Tzu. And remember me. At the end, at some point, you just don't want to be forgotten. Right? And the good thing is that you never will be right now. He will never be forgotten. That wasn't true before. We can get deep into that. That changes all human history. Look at, I think it's like is it Heraclitus? Do another video to talk about Heraclitus. Heraclitus. It's relevant, I promise. It's philosophy, it's always relevant. Heraclitus. Or actually, I believe it's, Heraclitus. I think the father of the pre-Socratic philosophers. He's, what we know of Heraclitus, I think is about 130 sentences, passages. Not a lot of information we know about Heraclitus. And then all of Greek philosophy then continues forward from that, and so on and so on. Of all the things that Plato thought about, how much do we still have? It's like fossils, right? It's like dinosaurs. Think about dinosaurs. What do we know about them? What do we know about them? Fossils. We have fossils of them, which are a poor imprint of them in another substrate. It is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, right? That we're then extrapolating from Jurassic Park in theaters next week. You know what I mean? Science is an error-correcting mechanism to find good explanations about a metaphysical reality, to create technology, to develop products, and create abundance for society. Yes. In doing so, we think we know what dinosaurs look like, but still, we have these fossils to go off of, and some other things, and that's what we're doing here. Knowledge is the same. Look back, these are the fossils of knowledge, right? Thales of something. We only have 4 sentences. Like, of everything that he did and thought and perceived and interpreted enough for us to view it, there was 4 left of this man's life. 4 sentences remained. Versus now, it's 2022. If you fart on a stage somewhere, someone can make a meme out of it, and it will live on the internet for the rest of human history, to never go away, unless it's taken away. Unless it's taken away. That's politics. That's a different video politics. So Heraclitus, we've only got a little bit more from him, and a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. And all the other ones. What survived? What communication survived that we can then update with our continual context since then? A time capsule of humanity. This is what they figured out. This is what we figured out. Okay, more and more context, more and more information about objective reality. Existence exists, and then you are conscious that it is there, and therefore become conscious of yourself as an entity, the law of identity, with a soul, etc., etc., etc. So, with the increase in technology and the increase in ability to create art, to distribute to a population that can then consume it, interpret it, use it for other things, unlocks a knowledge sharing that creates explosive abundance for humanity, for those who take action towards it and are not prevented from freely expressing it on the platforms used by our humanity. The free expression of ideas is the one most fundamental rights necessary for civilization to achieve abundance. The free expression and communication of ideas is the thing that will save humanity or destroy it. Because now we got the tools. Now we got the tools. The tools didn't exist. The technology for metaphysics, the metaphysical technology, the thing that we made. Oh, I want to talk some metaphysics, man. Let's talk. I want to talk metaphysics. Let's talk. I want to talk metaphysics. Metaphysics, man. You want to talk about some metaphysics? I know that you do. What? You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to. Metaphysics. The nature of the universe. The nature of the universe. The law of identification. This is this, and this is this. This is something, and the other things are not it. This exists, and these other things are not it. It is that. The law of identification, of identifying your perceptions and perceiving that if it's this, it cannot be that, and if it's that, it cannot be this. Hence, this and that, and etc., and etc., and etc. The law of identification, metaphysics, right? This exists. And so now we talk about technology, and you're like, okay, now this exists. This tool now exists. This tool, what is this tool? It's a tool for distribution of information, for sharing ideas. It's an idea sharing tool. That's what this is. On an idea sharing network with satellites around the globe, right? It's an idea sharing tool. It's your connection to the idea center. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's your connection to the idea center. Your mobile device, which you receive and then communicate information from, is your access pass to the idea factory. And everyone's got one in their pocket, walking around with one. So our ability to connect and share ideas is greater than it's ever been in human history. because of these technological tools, metaphysical reality. They didn't exist before, but they do exist now. And now that they exist and we kind of figured out how to use them properly, holy moly, complete abundance for humanity. What is art? What is art? Art is the artist's subjective representation of reality, of his metaphysics, is the artist's metaphysics. And their value judgments based on their experiences. So, the alternate reality to It's a Hazy Shade of Winter is technology exists right now in your palm of your hand. That is the most advanced product for human communication and idea, information exchange, and payment exchange that's ever created. This is the culmination of all humans' history, ability to communicate information to one another, and it's in the palm of your hand. With the ability to collect those ideas, integrate those ideas, and develop solutions to humanity's challenges, is the ability to take natural resources, metaphysical natural resources, right? We're talking metaphysics. Natural resources that exist around, and to recombine them. And here's a cell phone. Let's think about that for a minute, right? Let's think about that for a minute, right? Man is nothing special. Your bad philosophy of we're just animals like the rest of them, and animals, we're no different than this. We're just a little smarter than them, but they can count too. And, your eyes, and look at me. Look at me. Regardless of how you feel about the world, at this point in human history, which is relatively short in the length of human history, we're right here, right now. So one of these, connecting with other people with ones of these, working together in their mutual best interest to create something to advance humanity that at this point ended up in this cell phone in this short period of time. We're pretty stunning. I mean, we figured out a bunch of stuff. And now, think about, we're talking metaphysics. The ability to take these resources around us and just recombine them. Take the physical physics. Take the physical matter of our given reality. The law of identification. Metaphysics. This is a piece of gold. This is a piece of silver. They are different, and I know that because I have tools that I can measure them with. And when I measure them, I realize that this is this and this is not that. The law of identity. They're different things. This is gold. This is silver. Now that I know what this is, okay. No, it continues. I get to know what other things are. What happens if I take these things that share these characteristics and recombine them, or ones that don't and come up with something that didn't exist. Boom, that becomes something that is man-made. At that point, it is man-made. When man intervenes and changes the combination of physical resources that are given in our nature of reality. I'm talking very fast.
I'm talking very fast. I'm talking very fast.
In my own mind.
Pizza's technology, right? So you're taking metaphysical reality and the resources, and you're converting them to something that man can use to create abundance and end hunger and end poverty and end all of this stuff. And that comes from recombining the natural resources in reality. It's like a Rubik's Cube. It's like a Rubik's Cube, and you solve it and you go, it's all the same things, but I put it, solve that one. All that's technology. And now the technology of spreading ideas has reached a level where the ideas cannot not be shared if you choose to. If you choose to share an idea, you can put it in the universe and someone can find it. And not very hard to do. And the ability of recombinations that can be made, the recombinatorics of these new neural connections between ideas shared openly and freely. Without freedom, you don't get creation. You don't get it both ways. You don't get it both ways. You don't get it both ways. You don't get a futuristic reality of George Orwell when you do idea suppression. Look at Anthem. Look at Anthem versus Orwell's 84. Anthem, the society is still, not that developed. The development of the society stops around about the time the idea suppression takes hold. That's when it stops. The idea suppression is when society starts to stagnate. Free expression of ideas is what drives it, right? So now we have that free expression of ideas. The potential recombinatorics of that is what explodes us into abundance. Free expression of ideas. And then the knowledge to take those ideas and create from them technology to implement further creations. We got our man-made tools. We got the cell phone. And so now we need the free expression of ideas. Their two are corollaries. Now that the man-made tool has come into existence, now that that man-made tool has come into existence and has made it possible for the sharing of these ideas, I'm getting some buggy. That's why things are nutty right now. Because we're at the precipice. We're at the precipice due to everybody's got individual distribution, individual leverage, and individual access to the idea factory that is the internet. Exploding people into working from home to achieve abundance for themselves and not having to go to work for an organization. They are individuals creating and earning for themselves because they are now able to do so because the metaphysical tools to make it possible exist, and they are a modern smartphone. Sock.